Welcome to My Favorite Drum Gear. I'm Brady. Roland has recently announced their new 7 Series V-Drum set with a brand new module, updated pads, some digital cymbals, and an all-new digital snare. Now, one of the things about this snare that's catching everybody's attention is the ability to have a snare throw-off and turn the snares on and off. Well, I've had a Roland TD50X for a little while, and I've got a snare strainer on mine. Stick around and I'll show you how I did it. So as I mentioned in the intro, the new 7 Series Roland flagship model kit with a new module and all upgraded or a bunch of upgraded parts is getting a lot of attention right now. And their new digital snare has a number of new features from their old digital snare, one of them being the ability to throw the snares on and off and then also adjust your tension wires digitally. Admittedly, this is a really cool feature that I think a lot of folks are going to get some use out of. That said, several months ago, I got a hold of a used Roland TD50 module. I upgraded it to the 50X, and then I was digging through some of the features, and I found the ability to turn the snare strainer on and off, and it's not listed anywhere in the user's manual. So as soon as I found that, I realized that there was probably a way that I could make it as user-friendly as possible with a slight modification to my snare drum. I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did, exactly how to find the snare strainer, and some more options. So first, let's talk about foot switches. Your Roland TD50X manual is going to tell you that there's a small handful of Roland or Boss foot switches that are compatible with their module. While that's true, also a whole lot of non-Roland brand foot switches are going to be compatible as well. I purchased this. It's a momentary foot switch, which is what you want. It means when you push a button, it doesn't go on and stay on. It just flips the switch real quickly. That's good for most of the features that your foot switch will do in the module. Now, this foot switch was about the cheapest one that I could find on Amazon. I think I paid less than 20 bucks for it. It has 2 buttons, which is good because the foot switch takes a stereo input so that you can do 2 things with it. Now let's take a look at some of the things in the Roland TD50X that a foot switch can do. To access our foot switch features, we're first going to go into Setup, then from there we'll go to F4, which is Control, and we see here we have Foot Switch 1 function and Foot Switch 2 function. I'd also note that if we hit Pad Control, you can make the aux3 or aux4 inputs, either head or rim, do any of the things we're about to walk through here. But looking back at the foot switch, you see that first, either one can be set to off. Next, we have kit number increase. This will just increase the kit by 1 every time you press it, meaning if you're on kit number 10, you press it once, you'll go to kit number 11. Likewise, kit number decrease will decrease it by 1. If you're on kit number 10, you press it, you'll go down to kit number 9. Set list number increase. Now, if you are using set lists, this will change your entire set list by 1 number. This will decrease your entire set list by 1 number. Now just note, if you had it set to set list increase on the first button and kit increase on the second button, pressing the first button would advance your entire set list. Pressing the second button would advance the songs within your set list. Song increase, if you have songs that you've imported through an SD card or the internal songs on board the module, this will go to the next song. Song play will obviously make that song start playing. Stop, you guessed it, will stop the song. Song top will restart the song. Song play stop will toggle. If the song is playing, it will stop. If it's stopped, it will start. Song A-B repeat, you press the button once to mark the start of a section of the song that you need to work on. You press the button again to mark the end of that section, and then it will repeat just that certain section of song. This is helpful to be able to do with a foot switch because you can just tap it with your foot to set the parts that you need to work on. Likewise, you can toggle your master effects 3 of them, on and off. Here we get to cross stick on and off if you've got a song or a section coming up when you need to use the cross stick, and then you can turn it back off so that you don't accidentally cross stick when you're trying to rim shot. Fixed hi-hat on and off. This is effectively a drop clutch if you're going to be playing double bass and you also want your hi-hat versatility. You can effectively drop the clutch by pushing this. So if you had a foot switch here, that would be really helpful to serve as your drop clutch. Here is the one we are looking for. Strainer on and off. That will throw the strainers, throw the snares on your snare drum on and off each time you push the button. Finally, we have all sound off. If you've got a click and a backing track going, this is a great place, basically as a kill switch to stop all the volume coming out of your module. Now I want to show you here, if I do strainer on and off, and if I set the other one to fixed hi-hat on and off, you will see that when we go back to our kit, we now have strainer on, fixed hi-hat off. If I am using a foot switch at this point and I push a button, you will see fixed hi-hat come on, you will see strainer turn off. Let me show you what I did to put a snare strainer on my drum. First, I went online to Amazon.com and purchased 2 of these momentary switches. Now these are for folks who are building their own pedal boards. Very simple, comes with a positive and a negative. So I grabbed one of these spare splitters that I've been using, and these are from Silverline Audio. I only need this mono input. So I cut this and then I soldered it onto the button that we're using as our physical switch. From there, I very carefully and very stressfully drilled a hole in my digital snare, and then I inserted this button through, leaving just this little tail that actually can tuck up underneath the drum with some of the clips provided with this digital snare. So when I want to use the snare strainer, I simply pull out this tail, plug it in to a mono or stereo cable, and then plug the other end into the foot switch on the back of the TD50X. So when you have the strainer on or off, you'll notice that every sound associated, especially with the digital snare, is affected. The cross stick is different, the rim shots are different, everything is affected. Now this works with just about every single kit. In Roland's stock sounds, you'll have a strainer on and a strainer off. You will notice sometimes that it can be a little subtle. Looking at the brushes here, you can barely tell. Now there are a few kits like this that do not have a difference, and then there are a couple where it's really subtle and hard to hear. But there is definitely an actual difference in the sound. So that's the way that I got a snare strainer on my electronic drum using a TD50X model, and I didn't have to purchase anything from the 7 series. I'll note that while I believe this only works on the TD50X module, I think that's the only one with a foot switch snare strainer, you don't need the digital snare obviously to make it work. You can make it work with any snare drum you're willing to drill a hole in. And if you're not, you could get creative and you could hot glue or zip tie or super glue a momentary switch to a hi-hat stand, to the basket of your snare, to a music stand, anything that puts that button right there. Really, this video is more about using the foot switch feature on the TD50X than anything else. But I think I found a really good way to use it as a snare strainer, and it really helps to at least mimic some of the action of using an acoustic kit, throwing the snares off when you need to. This is the part where I ask you to like and subscribe, and I want you all to know that, as promised, I have the top-of-the-line Lemon module en route to me now, so hopefully before the end of this calendar year, we'll get to see a full review on Lemon's top-of-the-line electronic drum kit. If you're a subscriber, you will see that video right when it gets published. So what do you think about the foot switch option on the Roland TD50X? Is the snare strainer something you would use? What about the fixed hi-hat option? Did I get anything wrong or miss anything? Drop me a comment below and let me know if you've thought of something I haven't or if you've got any questions. Thanks for watching.